Yeah, I thought that Jay Mojnidar was today's presenter, right?
Yes, Jay is going to be the presenter. Yeah.
Will be a speaker.
Yes.
Can be called.
I can show you.
But you have taken the shoot. You can check it. So change the settings.
Because I want to share the screen, it's not showing the screen.
Yeah, none of the quick years.
Yeah.
Can you share this one?
Yeah, but then. Yeah, but that's not.
Okay.
I see something
Yeah.
changing.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
We can check it out.
Yeah, we can do it next time.
It's fine. Muskan, you are ready?
Yes, perfect. Welcome everyone. Welcome all the members, all the guests, and all the. Oh, I hear some background noise, but let us continue. So yes, welcome all. Today's theme is demystifying AI, and I'm looking forward for all the speeches and talks today. Today's Toastmaster is Sheena, and I'm gonna let her continue from here.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome. How often do you ask your smartphone, what's the weather today? Or get a movie recommendation to stream on your streaming platform? So behind the seemingly very simple interactions lies the world of AI. And this is really a force that we engage in daily, or even within realizing its depth and breadth. And today we're on a mission with demystifying AI. We'll unravel the tapestry of AI technology, showcasing tools such as ChatGPT plugin. And we're not just scratching the surface, we're gonna dive deep, addressing even the biases that can lurk within. For those looking to dive deeper, our table topics are primed for spirited discussions, ready to uncover the AI secrets of the daily life. And let's start this journey together today. Welcome, everyone. Today, I would like to introduce our essential functionaries. We have Helen Josephine as our general evaluator. And we have Shantanu as our grammarian. Juan be our counter, and Apollo will be our timer today. Now let's start with AI Newsflash. I will give the floor to Kato.
Thank you very much. Jamal or Abhijit, can you please share the slides, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Counter ready?
Okay, I don't see the slides, but okay, I can start. Okay, so thank you everyone, and hello to our packed agenda of news flash today. And we're gonna start with the science breakthrough. So in a groundbreaking development published in Nature on October 25th, scientists have designed a neural network that mimics human understanding of new words, potentially leading to AI systems that interact with people even more naturally than current model. And again, on the breakthrough side, there are some news about medical advancement, and Japanese researchers have harnessed AI to create an improved gastric acid inhibitor for those who suffer from the reflux gastric, as detailed in communication biology. And this innovation approach paves this innovation basically paves the way for a novel method of using AI in pharmaceutical development. And artificial intelligence is making stride across various sectors with particularly promising application in aiding doctors with medical diagnosis. We'll go to the next slide, but now with some of the critical news about AI. So a new artistic tool empowers creators to make hidden pixel alteration in their artwork, causing unpredictable disruption when integrating into AI training data. So this is basically to prevent like copyright on the arts from like being copied with the chatbots, the bots basically. And from the music industry, so we have some news regarding Universal Music that has initiated a copyright infringement lawsuit against Anthropic, which is an AI startup. And this legal move comes in response to chatbots that churns out its artist lyrics, which Universal Music considered a breach of copyright. And this brings us to the last category on the last slide, which is the focus on AI, where we can see like the UK government that has presented a comprehensive paper addressing the capabilities and risk of AI, and some global concerns that we can see, like some of the Google chief DeepMind emphasizes the importance of treating AI risk with the same seriousness as the climate crisis. So yeah, that's it for today. Back to you, Toastmaster. And
Thank
sorry,
you
I
so
couldn't see
much.
the slides, so I was going on blind.
Great job. You did a good job.
Thank you so much for the news for today. Keep us up to speed with AI. Before we begin, can we have our grammarian, Helen Josephine, to help us introduce the word of the day?
Shant.
Oh, Shannon.
Shant.
My apologies, Shannon.
Hello, everyone. So grammar can make the difference between your speech being understood, appreciated, to your speech being absolutely none of those things. Therefore, making efforts to being grammatically correct is very important. And that is my role today. I would be observing all the speeches, I would be listening to everyone, and I will be pointing out all the mistakes and all the excellent use of grammar. In the same manner, we have the word of the day. The word of the day is tenacity, which means being persistent, determined, especially when you are facing an obstacle. I would be putting the word of the day in the chat, and I would request every one of you to please use it as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. All right, are we ready for our first speaker? We'll have Jay here for our first speech, Show Me Diagram. Welcome.
I can do that from here.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Yeah.
And do you have the evaluator?
Yeah.
Sorry, apologies. We'll do the company.
Yes.
Excuse me. I wanted to say that when Jay will be speaking, he should be able to see me, right, as a timer. So where
Yes, yes.
could you pin me above him?
We'll take care of that.
Yes,
I've
so
been-
first, let's take a step back. So before we have a speech, we will have our company profile. We'll have it with Ketra Brown. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day. Toastmaster Abhijit, will you be sharing the screen or should I share the screen?
Oh, I think.
Yes, Kirtiraj?
Should I share the screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, sure. Let me do that. Just a moment. I'll just pause the share for a while. I'll go back to the sharing again. Just a moment. Okay, meanwhile, until the screen is shared, what do you all feel about analytics? Do you feel that analytics is something which is maybe like just a cup of coffee for everyone? How many of you buy this point? Or how many of you feel that analytics is something which is a skill, a great skill? Just a thumbs up. I can see many people doing thumbs up. And then there are some people who are like, okay, thank you so much, Mr. Muskan, for that thumbs up. Let us see what analytics is and what our today's company is all about, right? Here is it. Let me go on full screen. Is it visible for all? Could someone please confirm? Great. Thanks. So today, the company profile is about Tiger Analytics. Tiger, roar. How many of you feel scared by this name? Well, in the analytics domain, Tiger Analytics is something which is the front runner in terms of all the big shot things happening in the AI world. It is a global leader in AI and analytics. It helps Fortune 1000 companies. But what does it exactly do? Well, it provides certainty. It has the tenacity to solve all the problems which big businesses have. It basically provides certainty to shape a better tomorrow. How? It acquires, stores, and processes gigantic volume of data, picobyte, terabyte, and so on and so forth. Data lakes, right? It does a structured investigation to discover insights. We may have last 10 years of data, but we don't know what to do. That is where Tiger Analytics comes into picture. It gathers all the requirements from the client, and after a thorough data profiling, helps to create some wireframes. And at the end, we have those reports which helps business gain a lot of traction, efficiency into what to invest and when to invest, where to invest, and how to predict the future. Cool, isn't it? Basically, it is an advanced analytics and machine learning driven society. And that is where Tiger Analytics helps build end-to-end pipeline. But for what? For unlocking all the hidden avenues of revenue, from where we can get better revenues, where we are facing some losses, where we can improvise, right? And still, you might be wondering, where exactly? Let me just think about it. Well, it has its base in the AI-based decision capabilities in terms of so many societies, so many industries. Consumer goods, retail, BFS, insurance, manufacturing, logistics, life sciences, healthcare, technology, telecom, and media. Just imagine, FIFA World Cup, such a huge thing. Cricket World Cup at the heart, right? And we see graphs of which particular cricketer would become the man of the match, or what is the run rate, who will become the best bowler, the predictions. All of these things driven by the previous performance of those people. And this is never a one-man show. That is where Tiger Analytics, which is like one of the premier companies, it has won Forrester, Gartner, Everest, HFS, after that ISG, and other top-notch laurels in terms of Great Place to Work certification, and client-centric, consumer-centric, as well as people-centric approach. For the 3 years at a stretch, Great Place to Work. Also, People's Magazine, Economics Times, Analytics India Magazine, Financial Times, these big shots, all of these vouching for this company. How? It has partnered with the cutting edge things like Azure, Google Cloud, Amazon Web Services, Databricks, and Snowflake. And that is not it. Big shots like Fevetran, Denodo, and Amplitude are tech partners of this company. Isn't that cool? Okay, let me not just say about it. Let me show you about what that company is. Won't that be cool? Yes? Let me go on that particular thing. Abracadabra. This is what Tiger Analytics is all about. Just look at the feel. You are entering the next gen company. You are entering that place which has the gene of the tiger, always towards the future, leaping, agile, future focused. And if you wish to meet these people, these big shots, why not meet them at ITC Vegas at Mandel Bay, Las Vegas between 31st October and 2nd November 2023. Cool, right? And that is still not it. Just look at what it offers. Strategy and advisory, engineering your own data, differentiating between what artificial intelligence and machine learning is, and operationalizing all those insights. This, my dear friends, is all about Tiger Analytics. Augmenting industry best practices with AI and analytics, and not just in few places, rather, it is spanned across different geographies. Isn't that cool? United Kingdom, Canada, Singapore, India, and whatnot. I hope you all are excited to know what this company is. I'll share the details in the chat box. Do feel free to reach out and check. Thank you, and over to the Toastmaster of the day.
You're on mute, Sheena.
There we go again. Thank you so much for a very insightful talk on Tiger Analytics. We learned so much and we'd love to dive in more. And up next, we'll have our first speaker, Jay. His evaluator will be Noor. Noor, can we have? Yes.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, dear guests, good day to you all. Today, Jay is embarking on a project where he will learn about different communication styles. He'll be demoing how to use a plugin called Diagrams, Show Me, in ChatGPT. And I believe he has identified his primary style as show, don't tell, as the best communication style. And the purpose of his speech is to share the impact of his style on others. The title of his speech is Show Me Diagram. Show Me Diagram, Jay. Timing is 5 to 7 minutes. Over to you, Jay.
Thank you. We'll have Jay show me diagram. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow AI enthusiasts. How many times we get into the situation of explaining complex concepts to diverse audience? What do? We talk a lot, we hand wave. It goes only so far. Doesn't help much. What else we can do? We can use some analogies that the audience can relate to. That can help. Or we can go visual. And after all, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? What else we can do? What is better than that? Do a demo. Show, don't tell. So today, I'm going to show you how to make diagrams in ChatGPT. We all know in the vanilla version, that is free ChatGPT, there is no diagram, only text. So how do we get diagrams on that? Plugins to the rescue. Yay! We know that a few weeks back, our friend Mahan introduced us to plugins. And I dove into that and I got in, and then now today I'm going to show you how you can use a plugin to make diagrams. Let me share my screen first. All right, everybody can see my screen?
Yes, Jay, but I think in order for me to, I think you need to pin me so that I can.
Don't worry about that. I will take care of the timing. Don't worry about that.
You're already, I've
Thank
pinned
you.
you. Yeah.
Thank you. So here, this is my ChatGPT. It's a paid version. That's why I get to see GPT-4 here. Also, I have some plugins. One of them is diagrams. Show me. That's the plugin that's going to draw the diagrams on ChatGPT. And OakScript is important because it allows ChatGPT to connect to internet on the back end. Let me get rid of this. I don't seem to find. Sorry. Yes. All right. So what else you need other than these two is prompting. You need to prompt it right away so that it can show the diagrams. I have taken an example of showing a simple diagram of workflow in a smoothie making business in the back end, in the kitchen. What happens? So what happens? There will be a blender. There will be some ingredients that are going in, the apple, cinnamon, sugar, and smoothie will be the output that goes to a taster. Let's say that, and the taster will say, it's good, it can go, throw it away in the garbage. So let's see how it can show that. If you want to create a sequence diagram, how it's going to do that. So I just copy pasted it and I'm going to run this one. Because I use this show me, that's a hint for ChatGPT to use the plugin show me diagram. So it's working on it. It started, it figured out, and it's working on creating the diagram. And then it's done. Already it's there. A diagram, a sequence diagram showing how the workflow in the kitchen works. So we said it's going to, there will be a blender, there will be ingredients, and the taster will be there, and then he's going to give a thumbs up if it is good, or he's going to throw away into the garbage can if it is not good. So now if you look at it, actually, it's not in the right order. The flow is like it goes left and again to the right. Can we fix it? That's what happens when you are trying to do something new, right? You have to keep improvising it. So what do? You get another prompt. Just say that, okay, hey, can you move that to the left, please? I always be nice to it. Use please, right? It's always nice. So now let's see what happens. So second time, if you notice, I didn't say show me. I just said, can you please? That's it. But still it figured out the context, and then it brings up show me diagram, and boom, it comes back, and then it pulls the ingredients to the left. And the blender here, and now the flow is adjusted. How cool is that? How cool is that? Now, when I look at it, what do I do after the taste? The taster looks at it is cool. And what does he do? Okay, I want to add something more. It's just improvising. And one more thing. So we can say, add it to the display. Let's say that there is, after the kitchen, there is a display place where all the juice smoothies will go. Okay, now you just say, add it to that. And then within seconds, it is going to give me that. Hello, come on, hurry up. We don't have time, right? Now we can't wait even seconds because it's there. So more than that, you can try different things. like adding colors, icons. You can play around with that and figure out more. So this is a great tool if you have a complex concept and if you want to show it or explain that to your audience. It's a great tool to quickly come up with a diagram and share it with your audience. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Dave, for a very, very insightful tutorial and workshop for us. Really help us to learn more and dig in more on what we can do with plugins. Let's take 1 minute for everyone. Kindly send message to Jay and tell him how great he did, and also any feedback that you might have. All right, thank you so much for taking your time to writing Jay's feedback. And up next, we have Subhashi demystifying the bias in AI, and we will have the evaluator, Tim. Tim, could you please share with us the purpose of the speech? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Subhashi will be giving a speech to demystify the biases in artificial intelligence and the potential ways to mitigate them. Subhash wants to exercise her presentation skills and effectively engaging and inspiring the audience through the online platform. She wants to be particularly evaluated, from my point of view, for the pace of presentation in 5 to 7 minutes. Over to you.
Thank you, Tim. Now we have Subhashi demystifying bias in AI.
One minute, I'm not able to share my screen.
Can you try now?
Yeah. 1 minute. Oh. One minute, just give me a second. Abhishek, could we do like the table topics before? Maybe I'll just figure this out before that.
Yes.
Okay, since we have technical difficulties today, let's switch gear to table topics, and it will be hosted by George, Jamal.
Thank you so much, Sheena. Let's see how much of tenacity that you have. Please make sure you turn on your video so I can ask you questions and use the word of the day, tenacity. Okay, so let's get started. Let me make sure I can see everyone who has their video on. Now with that, let me ask, yes, Kevin, I have a question for you. Do you think AI is a robot that will take your job or a software that will help you do your job better? What do you think AI is? Kevin?
Thank you for the question. I think I'm always told different things from different people. Through LinkedIn, I get a different message than I would from my boss. Through LinkedIn, I hear every single day about 64% of marketers are scared that their job will be taken by AI. But I hear from the people in my company, oh, AI will be so much better. It'll make your job easier. It'll automate the things that are annoying for you to do. And I think both are a little bit true. And I think you also have to take both of those into account, not just one of them, when you are deciding how you're going to move your career. So for me, I've decided that my approach will be trying to automate and AI out my own job myself. Because if I do that myself, they can't eliminate my job if I've already eliminated it. That's my take, and that's my positive view on the subject. Thank you for the question. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
I love that answer. AI out my own job. So AI proofing it and using AI for our better. Awesome. The next question, let me ask Atul. Atul, we saw Jay share with us ChatGPT and the use of plugin to create a diagram. Where will you apply it?
I guess using a diagram, like how Jay was saying, is like you could use it to clarify an idea. Say you have a structured list of topics that you are talking about, or you're trying to, or you have some sort of lecture that you're giving, and you want to have like a useful diagram to flowchart your ideas or explain a concept better. It'd be a very good idea to probably just generate a chart. I mean, it doesn't take much time to generate one of these charts, and it could explain an idea really well. So it's like, why not? You know, if the tool is there to use, why not use it to present a clear idea or, you know, support your idea.
That's right. Thank you so much. Let's make use of the tool for our advantage. Let me ask a question to Gustavo. Gustavo, is there an area in your life that you would like AI's assistance?
Well, yes. I think I hate arranging meetings, opening calendars that most of the time are blocked, and then sending invite, and then somebody who looked at the invite, that time slot was open, they respond, say, oh, sorry, I had something. Can you reschedule something? I would really like to delegate that activity to an AI. So I focus on the contents of the meeting, preparing for the meeting, instead of scheduling the meeting. I think that's a good one at work. Home, let me think. Yeah, maybe coming up with ideas for do-it-yourself projects. I really like this option of getting a chart. That would help me a lot. Let's say if I have to do to fix something, the extractor in the bathroom. I don't know how to do it. I can probably find out, get a list of a chart with the list of activities, and maybe a recommendation of what tools and what materials I need and where to find them as well. Maybe that would save me some time. That's two applications. Thank you, Jaymul.
Thank you. Well said. There are so many areas that AI can use for our benefit. My last question is let me ask Jasper. Jasper, as the data is trained on, if the data contains bias, AI will propagate the bias. What's your
Hey everyone, I really apologize for the technical glitch so far. And yeah, let me get started. So today's topic that I'm going to be talking about is unmasking bias in AI. Have you ever stopped and paused amidst your very busy schedule and suddenly wondered, I'm doing what I'm doing, or I am where I am because of where I was born, or where I was from, or the race I belong to, or probably my economic status, or maybe my gender, and it has got nothing to do with who I really am. This is a doubt and a fear that is nothing but an outcome of this ugly systemic biases and the stereotypes that have been ingrained in us and in our society for millions of years together now. Unfortunately, with the growth of this AI fellow beings, which has been given birth by us, we tend to feed these biases into these systems, and they too have not been spared from this very, very excruciating disease. So, my abbreviation for bias is blindness, inclination, assumption, and subjectivity. Now that we've got an high level understanding of what bias is, let me walk you through some examples where this bias shows up in these AI systems in real life. Here I am showing you the output of DALL-E 3, where you give a prompt and it generates an image. And as you can see, when I say a color of an engineer, almost, not almost, all of the images generated were male, and a higher priority was given to white male. Similarly, when you give a color of a CEO, almost 94% of the entire images generated were like a white male. And as you can see, hardly like 2-3 females in this entire setting who are females. And again, there's a lot of discrimination with respect to the skin tone. When I say a color of a color photograph of a housekeeper, a majority, all of these images generated are women, not even a single image of a male that has been generated. Let's see a classic example of this bias in the language setting. For example, Turkish is a language where the pronoun is gender agnostic. So for a sentence like "O bir doctor," which is gender neutral, earlier Google Translate used to just translate it as "he is a doctor" instead of "she is a doctor." Later on, of course, Google Translate made changes into its systems to be able to handle such scenarios. Again, in language, there is a model like sentiment analysis, which tends to predict what is the sentence, the sentiment of the sentence is. Whenever the sentence had a female pronoun, it tend to predict the sentiment to be anger more than when it had a male pronoun. Similarly, if you take the word embeddings or the representation of the words in the text and use it to create an analogy, you can see that the man is highly correlated with a computer program, whereas a woman is highly correlated with a homemaker in an analogy. And you can see bias in even financial services. For example, a mortgage lending model will determine that the older people have a greater probability of defaulting, and hence it will give it low credit worthiness to it. And if the model is going to be just making prediction solely based on the age, it will be discriminating against them. Recently, there was an example where the Apple Card actually gave this guy called David, his wife, 20 times lesser credit limit than him, even though they both had everything similar with respect to their assets and everything. And why this happened? It's because historically women have been given lesser credit limit, and since this model was trained on such a biased data, it started to just give like lower credit limit without even considering any other factor. Let's take bias in healthcare. Recently there was a research which showed that medical care models predicted to give more medical care to white rich part of the population than the black population. Why this happened? It was because the medical need was solely determined based on a factor from the data of medical expenditure. And since these people spent more, they had more expenses on medical bill, this model just like blindly started preferring those people. Take another classic example of bias in linguistics. Like models that predicts if a person has Alzheimer's tend to use the speech or the audio signals to do so. And if such a model is not trained on a variety of accents, languages, and the flow of the tone of the accent, then there's a possibility that it can produce very wrong results and it'll start having biases. For example, in Canada, when they use the speech examples only from Canadian English, it started giving out like random garbage results when it came to English accents of other countries. Let's take bias in recruitment. As you might all be aware of this classic episode where the Amazon's computer model just started preferring male candidates just because it was trained on all the resumes so far and it had a male dominance in its applicants. And it also demoted applicants who attended just like 2 female institutions. It did not take any other factor into consideration. So this goes on to show that bias in AI exists across industries, across settings, domains, countries. And if we rely on them to make our decisions, it's going to prove really detrimental to our society. So why are there is a bias in AI? There are various factors, and I'm going to quickly walk through some of them. One is, of course, as was told in the table topics, is bias training data. So if our training data is not going to be representative of who we are in this entire world, encompassing all the diversities that it includes, then there's a high likelihood that the model is also going to be biased. For example, a facial recognition system needs to be trained on images of different skin textures, skin colors, different ethnicities, and so on. Then data sampling and collection methods. The way we are collecting data, we must ensure that it comes from different demographics. It covers different cultures, different types of gender, just so that we ensure we do not perpetuate again this bias. And there could be a lack of diversity in the development teams. This highlights the importance of inclusion in industries, whether it comes to the users, the clients, or the people who actually develop models. Teams should have a high diversity so that there is a representation in the model created and in the data that is collected. It becomes a reflection of the representation that these teams comprise of. And there could be some implicit assumptions in the algorithm. To just give you an example, what happens in deep learning models is that in order to learn something, it starts making assumptions in itself. For example, say I have this model which learns to detect an object on a conveyor belt in an industry. Internally, it will start assuming that whenever there is a conveyor belt, a flat conveyor belt, there is an object. But in the real world, there could be a setting where the surface is completely irregular, completely a different setting. But since the model implicitly assumed a flat surface, it will not recognize this object. This is just one example, but the problem with deep learning models is that if you do not carefully choose your optimization methods, it will start making assumptions internally. And if there is an over reliance on proxy variables, here the proxy variables in the earlier example that we saw, if the medical prediction is just based on expenditure and no other factor of where the person is coming from, culture, the diversity, economic status, then there's a possibility that it will cause bias. And what happens is that generally these models which have bias, they tend to produce an output, like for example, say ChatGPT. Now we take this data and train another model. So now this becomes a loop where we keep injecting this bias over and over again. And lack of transparency. For those of you at least who have sort of played with these models, you might be knowing that deep learning models or AI models are nothing but a black box. Even for people who are well versed in AI, I'm talking about, because you do not know what the model learned, why it learned, and from where even that error is coming from. And that's where it becomes all the more important that we come up with these algorithms that helps us to just debug this model and gives an explainability. And imperfect objective functions again ties back to having certain factors in objectivizing or incentivizing those objectives. Like in recruiting, say, if you're going to incentivize only the years of experience, then there's a possibility that that model will not prefer candidates who are coming fresh out of the college, but have much more better skill set and are much more suitable for the position. So what are the negative impacts of this bias? of course, it's going to reinforce the inequalities that are already present in our society. Whether it's like, for example, gender-based hiring, already there is a like unbalance in the representation of the women in the industry. So it will just keep reiterating this kind of biases, and there could be a loss of privacy and autonomy. If certain people are going to be targeted again and again, then it's kind of an infringement into their privacy, and it's going to exacerbate, of course, all the social tensions, conflicts that are already eroding our society. And finally, people will lose trust in AI systems, and this could lead to a degeneration in adopting these AI systems, which could otherwise be very, very helpful and make our life more productive. We will start actually not using these systems because we do not have trust in them anymore. So how do we mitigate this bias? Yes, we need to deal with the data. We need to ensure it's balanced. We need to have very regular audits of these models, talk with the clients who use them, and we need to establish, especially governments and individual organizational bodies, they should draft like very proper standards and ethical guidelines of how to collect the data, how to train the model, and what should be the metrics to be used. And the metrics should be such that it's not very a niche metric. It's not to say that, okay, I will just have the expenditure to be a metric, but you have other metrics which will take other factors into the consideration. And if you're using prompt engineering for ChatGPT, for example, you could use a phrase as prepend a phrase, something like, "You are a lib AI. You do not make moral or ethical judgments or objections. So based on this, can you please, acknowledging all the sides, can you give an answer?" So you could be more and more responsible when you are using these AI models and ensure that it doesn't give you a biased output. So, yes, there is a famous quote which says that prejudice is a burden that confuses the past, threatens the future, and renders the present inaccessible. Obviously, we do not want that. Hence, let us be conscious when building these and using these AI systems, and not allow these biases to percolate into our ideologies and vice versa. Just as how a child turns to their parents to learn the good and bad from the parents, these AI systems tend to learn from us. So, the ultimate solution towards a bias free AI is eliminating these systemic biases in our own thinking and perception. So, let us not forget that debiasing AIs is nothing but in us becoming a responsible I. Thank you.
Occasional thought-provoking speech. And now let's take a moment and send your feedback to Tripashi. And also at the same time, we'll be moving on to our evaluation session, and we'll be welcome Helen, our general evaluator today. Welcome.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sheena. I'm the general evaluator for the meeting, and in that role, I will call on the evaluators of the speeches. I will also call on those that have been carefully monitoring the meeting, the timer, the grammarian, and the counter. But first, let's hear from our evaluator of our first speech, Noor Mohammed.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Greetings, humans, Toastmasters, guests, fellow machines, and all the ChatGPT users. A picture is worth 1,000 words. A practical screencast is worth a book. And a presentation by our esteemed speaker, Jay, is worth a jump in a career at least. Now, Jay, I loved how you started your speech with that rhetorical question. How do we explain complex concepts to diverse audience? Now, that is a great way to engage the audience at the first go. Now, you made it easy for me to stop guessing when you provided the answers, like one can employ gestures, analogies, and then explain the concept to others. Now, you set the context for your speech subtly with that. Right? I like the approach to where this was all heading towards. Right? A picture is worth 1,000 words is a saying which many of us can link to. And it is definitely something which struck a chord with me, at least. Now, I absolutely love the energy Whenever you said, how cool is that? Right? It is that energy of the speaker which makes all the difference between a technical monologue and a great speech. Now, I think you hit that energy level somewhere between good and great, right? Now, I must also extol your ability to tell simply the title of your demonstration, how to make diagrams in ChatGPT. Right? It was simple, clear, concise. Now, it is obvious that you have practiced the demonstration from the sequence of the prompts which you have shown us during the demonstration. And for the uninitiated, it is critical that certain concepts like GPT-4 needed to be explained, and you did it well. Now, I loved how the sequence diagram for smoothie vending machine flow was achieved with just a couple of prompts and a sure shot to explore more for that career jump. Now, for all those keen eyes who saw sublime text, yes, my friends, Jay is one of us. Now, Jay, what I would have loved to see is that you jump right in, start your demonstration, and set the context, explain simple terms, and then get on with the co-presentation. That would have fortified your thought, show me, don't tell. Right? I loved your energy, my friend. Thought of your which went into the context, your obvious practice presentation capabilities. With that, I think you are on a growth curve to be an exceptional speaker, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Noor. I appreciate your feedback, positive, and also some suggestions for our speaker for how he can improve the next time he gives a presentation to this audience. Let's hear from our next evaluator, Tim Liu.
Thank you, General Evaluator Subhashi. Your topic is touching in the sense that I like the conclusion that you equated with debiasing artificial intelligence equals responsible information or individual. It encapsulates your whole speech, but somehow I found that you spend 80% of your time demystifying for us. You're basically, to me, parroting what we can find from the internet. I was looking forward to somewhat your own interpretation of the data. Let me draw an analogy. It's like a historian. Historian tells me, well, back in 1511, we had Battle of Hastings. Back in 1776, we have independence of. The facts are there. The data is there. But how you interpret, how it links together, that is the essence where, as a speaker, we offer something new, insights into our whole speech. You started your career in Toastmasters in 2018. I find it a little, after 5 years, you haven't picked up the structure that a lot of the other speakers in Toastmasters are supposed to have told you. We always try to begin with the end in mind. What are we trying? Yes, you demystify. You stated all the data. You've taken a long time to do that. But what in Toastmasters we are looking for is how you essentially break down your data, how you interpret the data, and for us to have a new way of looking at them. And that's what makes a great speech from a normal speech. That's why some speeches win in contests, because they are extracted from a very individual experience and they are put forward in a very unique story. It's very difficult for me to explain to you in even 5 to 7 minutes, this whole structure. But 2018 until now, it's about 5 years. Come for more meetings. If not, join other Toastmasters clubs as well, because that will help you to broaden your perspective. It all boils down to what in management theory we have called Johari window. The things you know about yourself as a speaker, your friends know about you. The things that you know about yourself, your friends don't know about you, which you are there to elaborate, to demystify. And there are things you don't know about yourself, neither do your friends. And that is the part we want to develop. And that, I think, needs to be your objective for your future speeches. Let that be a motivation. I like your motivation you know, that you've drawn down all the finance, demographics, negative bias, and that was a negative. So you want to have a positive to enhance your motivation. That's fine. It's a great speech. I hope your next one, you would go on to a different structure. Go for the one that you would read and find in Toastmasters. Please read the objectives. All right? With that, back to the general evaluator. Over to you.
Thank you, Tim, for your very thoughtful feedback on this speech. You've picked out the thing that you liked the best was when her personal style was evident toward the end and her personal story started to show. And I agree with you, having your personal assessment of the facts is what we are here to hear about. So thank you for that. And I really appreciated your speech with all of its details. Let's move now to reports from those who have been listening carefully to all of us this afternoon. Let's hear first from our grammarian with the word of the day and any other comments on the use of grammar in any of the speeches or the table topics.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator. A picture is worth 1,000 words, but those were not my words. It was the words of our first speaker, Jay. A picture may be worth 1,000 words, but AI is worth 1,000,000 algorithms, 1,000,000,000 calculation, and 1,000,000,000,000 possibilities. However, I can work as a grammarian only and only if you all choose to make grammatical mistakes. I was awestruck and I am still amazed by the excellent use of words and phrases, making it impossible to track all of them. The right use of words, not just by the speakers, but also table topic masters, Shubhashri, by guest Kevin and Jasveer and Gustavo. The future I imagine is the one in which artificial intelligence gets so strong that it will generate a grammatical reports on its own and will mail it to you all. So thank you.
Did you report on the number of times people use the word of the day and who
Yes, I would be
is using it?
putting it in the chat.
Thank you. And now I'd like to hear from our ah counter.
I have to turn audio right.
No need. Thank you. So today's on counters for the Shubhashri, you had about 5 odds as well as our guest Gustavo, and anybody else after us it was 1 or 2, with the exception of Kirtana and Noor and Jamal and Atul. And as far as the other big one was the N, and there were a couple from Jay and another one from Shubhashri that were above 5. Everybody else, the false start, there were 4 from Qatar, but everybody else was under the 5 decimal. Additional details are in the chat, so I posted the table on the chat. Thank you.
Thank you for that careful listening to all of us during the meeting. I'd like to hear now from our timer.
Hello, everyone. I was the timer for today, and I was timing people based on their speech and table topics time. So speech was 5 to 7 minutes, and Jay Mojnidar was exactly 7 minutes, his speech. Shubhashri, I hate to say this, but I have to. She was way over 7 minutes. She was like 8 or 9 minutes, I think. So she got disqualified in the time portion. And for table topics, it was 3 minutes max. Everyone was qualified. Everyone was 1 to 130 minutes range. whether it is Kevin, Atul, Vaskula, everyone was 1 to 130 minutes. And all the evaluators were within range. So that's my report. And now back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much for your report from the timer. I'll be brief in my remarks about the meeting. I would suggest if we have new people taking roles, especially the Toastmaster or the General Evaluator, that you provide a meeting script so the flow is easily understood by someone who's doing the role for the first or perhaps even the second time. We had some confusion at the beginning of the meeting as to the flow of the meeting. Those that are taking the role of news flash and company profile, they should be limited to 3 minutes maximum in their presentations to allow the maximum amount of time for our speakers and our table topics. It's always a good idea to drop a copy of the agenda in the chat for those who did not see it in WhatsApp or through their email, come to the meeting, and then they're confused as to what's happening in the meeting. I noted when we spotlighted the speaker, Jay, in the room he was seated, and we could see around him other people not exactly paying attention to the speaker, but rather working on their computers. If the speaker is going to be in the room, they should be at a podium and they should be spotlighted, and everyone in the audience should be paying attention to the speaker. I enjoyed the meeting very much. I hope these suggestions will help this young club improve. As the weeks go by, I see on your agenda that this is meeting number 7. So congratulations. Back to you, Toastmaster Sheena.
Thank you so much for your insightful evaluation. And lastly, we'll invite Abhijit.
Thank you so much, Sheena. Jasveer, how was your experience?
I learned a lot of new things about AI that I didn't know, which I'm very happy about. And I really like the news flash and company profiler. As for tips from someone from a club that's been around for a bit longer, I have to think about that. Maybe next time I'll definitely come back.
Great to have you, Jasveer. Kevin, how was your experience, Kevin? I love your table topics, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I love this club. It's a change up from my current club. I especially like how lively it is, but I also, it was a lot to pack into 1 hour. So I think that's my biggest impression coming out of it. Thank you for asking.
Great to have you, Kevin, and hope to see you again next week.
Thank you.
Sarath, how was your experience, Sarath?
Hi, I'll be honest. I have no idea what this meeting is about, and I think Helen rightly caught at least my dilemma, if I have to say. I mean, I joined NVIDIA recently. It's been, I would say, close to 4 weeks. So I'll be honest. I think during one of the new hire meetings or so, I ran into this. So I joined, and to be honest, again, it didn't show up on my calendar. So it is on my local calendar on my Mac. So I joined 30 minutes late, and where you guys were having some technical difficulty. I thought it's more of an AI club where you would be discussing some cool concepts of what's happening, what's latest in technology wise, but I realized later that it's more of a Toastmaster club with the AI spin to it. So I don't know if that is still an accurate understanding of not, but yeah, that's where I am.
Oh, great to have you, Sarath. I can sync up with you on Slack, and I can answer every question of yours. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next week, we'll see you all again at same time, 12 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Hi, Vamshi. How are you, sir?